Elba Park is a 53-hectare community park built and managed for the benefit of the local community and wildlife. It hasn't always been a community park, and the site has changed dramatically over the years. Elba Park is built on top of the old Lambton Coke Works, owned by the Lambton family, who were the Earls of Durham. Penshaw Monument, which can be seen in the distance, was built in the mid-1800s. Built by the first Earl of Durham, its 70-foot high monument sits prominently on Penshaw Hill, which can be seen for miles around. The earliest evidence of coal mining on the site was the early 1600s. The early mining pits were called bell pits, and it was a simple technique where shafts were sunk down to reach the coal seams. These seams were then worked and widened, creating a sloped roof. No or little timber would have been used to support these pits, which meant that these pits would have been worked until they became unsafe, at which point they would have been abandoned and new pits dug. Mining was a whole family and community affair, from bathing to laundry and cooking. Everything revolved around the men's mining shifts. Thousands of men and boys worked in the dusty, dirty, dangerous conditions, providing that black diamonds that fueled the Industrial Revolution. It was a tough and dangerous job. Over 150 people lost their lives at the pits at Lambton. This miners' memorial was designed to depict the conditions the miners would have had to work in, showing how narrow and cramped the spaces would have been. Not only was coal mining hard and dangerous work, it wouldn't have been well paid. Miners would have had to have bought their own tools, such as picks and drills, out of their own wages. Normally, these tools would have been brought at the co-op store, where miners could pay for their tools through wage deductions. A short detour in the park takes you down to this unique bridge created by artist blacksmith Craig Knowles as part of the park's restoration. The handrails consist of over 100 hand-forged pickaxe heads. With increasing pressure to have safer working environments and better pay, coal unions started to appear across the region in the 1800s. In 1864, the Durham Miners' Union was formed, and they held their first gala in 1871, which continues to this day. At the top of our hill, which gives a good advantage point to the surrounding areas and countryside, you'll be able to see our modern-day miners' banners, designed by the school children of local primary schools that are around the area. The park is actually named after a small hamlet which was situated on the site in the mid to early 1800s. The earliest record of the name Elba was used in an 1839 map and in the 1841 census, where 41 individuals were recorded living at Elba. Some former buildings are present on maps right up to 1970s, when suddenly Elba no longer appears again. The most productive pit on site was D Pit, which was sunk circa 1789. This pit closed in 1823, but then reopened in 1854. In the 1890s, it was recorded that D Pit produced 1,660 tonnes of coal and employed 254 men and 24 boys. This pit worked and continued to grow right up to the end of 1960, when the coal board finally closed it. The development of the railways really helped the collieries, as it meant coal could quickly be transported from the sites to places such as Sunderland and Newcastle, where they could then be transported via the sea across the country. Early preludes to the railways were the wagonways, roughly 4 to 5 feet wide, mostly made out of wooden tracks. These would have originally been used by ponies and horses pulling carts along. While Elba Park was being developed, archaeologists discovered the best preserved and most substantial early wooden railway remains yet to be uncovered in this country. The earliest record of the wagonway is on a handwritten map dating back to 1730s. In the mid-19th century, the welfare of the miners and their families became more important. In 1924, Lambton's public baths opened and proved so popular that by 1940 a second baths had opened next door. These pithead baths had over 1,200 clean-clothes lockers and over 1,200 pit-clothed lockers. They had a boot cleaning room, a boot greasing room, as well as a bottle filling room. Local school children would come here to learn to swim, and social clubs were formed, including an amateur water polo club. These provided a brilliant place to relax and get clean. Industrial activity ended with the closure of the coke works in the mid-1980s. The Homes and Community Agency, with funding from the National Coalfield Programme, reclaimed the site over a period of almost 10 years. The site is now owned by the Land Trust and managed by Groundwork North Eastern Cumbria, whose rangers put on events throughout the year. The carefully selected planting of trees, shrubs and flowering plants has made Elba a haven for wildlife. It has successfully been awarded the Green Flag status 7 years running.